kasama ng kanyang sasakyan ng rumaragasang tubig baha. To the rescue naman ang isang residenteng napadaan lamang sa lugar para tulungan ang babae. Kilalanin po natin kung sino ba ang taong naglakas loob na iligtas ang babae mula sa mga detalye ng balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Ricky Mathay at ito ang Mata ng Agila International. At para sa mga headlines. Inflation rate ng Pilipinas itong Pebrero bumagal sa 2.1%. Kabuoang utang ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas lumobo naman sa 16.31 trillion pesos sa pagtatapos ng Enero. Pangulong Donald Trump humarap sa US Congress sa unang pagkakataon mula na mahalal muli. 46 na construction workers sa India nakaligtas mula sa isang avalanche. At totoo nga ba na gumagamit ang artificial intelligence ang Doge para sa cost-cutting nito? Bumagal ang inflation rate ng Pilipinas itong Pebrero ng kasalukuyang taon sa 2.1%. Ayon po yan sa Philippine Statistics Authority o PSA. Mas mababa ito kumpara sa naitala ng PSA na inflation rate noong Enero na 2.9%. Ayon sa ahensya, pangunahing may ambag sa pagbagal ng inflation rate ng bansa noong nakalipas sa buwan ay ang mas mababang presyo ng food and non-alcoholic beverages at maging transportation costs. Bumaba rin ang food inflation ng Pilipinas sa 2.6% kung saan nakaambag dito ang pagbaba ng presyo ng gulay, tubers at bigas. Nakaambag din sa pagbaba ng inflation ang pagbaba ng presyo ng gasolina at ng diesel. Sumampa naman sa 16.31 trillion pesos ang total outstanding debt ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas sa pagtatapos ng January 2025. Batay po yan sa datos ng Bureau of Treasury. Mas mataas ito ng 261.47 billion pesos kumpara sa naitalang utang noong December 2024. Ayon sa Treasury Bureau, may ambag ang mas maraming utang ng pamahalaan at ang pagtaas ng halaga ng mga utang sa dolyar ng ating bansa dahil sa paghina ng halaga ng piso sa pagsirit pataas ng sovereign debt ng Pilipinas. Sa kabila po nito, sinabi ng Treasury Bureau na nananatiling manageable ang utang ng gobyerno. Anila naaayon ito sa target nitong suportahan ang pag-unlad ng ekonomiya habang tinitiyak ang pagpapanatili ng pananalapi. Samantala, sinabi naman ng mga economic managers ng Marcos administration na walang dapat ikabahala sa lumalaking utang ng Pilipinas hanggat patuloy ang paglago ng ekonomiya ng bansa. Nasa 80 Pilipino na ang nakatanggap ng deportation notice mula sa US authorities sa gitna po yan ng immigration crackdown ng Trump administration laban sa mga illegal aliens. Ayon kay Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, hindi pa nakukulong ang mga naturang mga Pilipino. Anya, may tsansa pa silang ayusin ang kanilang mga dokumento at legal na pananatili sa Estados Unidos. Tinukoy naman ng Philippine Envoy na ilan sa kanila ay umalis na ng US. Bagamat nagpatupad na ang Washington ng deportation flights para sa mga illegal aliens mula Africa at Asia, wala pang Pilipinong napapasama sa mga biyaheng ito. Kaya bilang tugon ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas sa issue, nakahanda ang Department of Foreign Affairs na magbigay ng kinakailangang tulong sa mga Pilipinong maaapektuhan ng immigration crackdown sa Estados Unidos. Bilang bahagi po ng commitment ng PhilHealth na magkaloob ng financial protection sa mga Pilipino, ay kanilang mas pinalawig pa ang health benefit package para sa cardiovascular diseases. Ayon sa PhilHealth, epektibo ito simula pa noong unang araw ng Marso ng taong kasalukuyan. Kaugnay pa rin ito sa layunin ng Department of Health na paunlarin ang standard ng lahat ng mga ospital sa buong bansa. Mula rito ay binigyan diin ng PhilHealth ang data na kailang sinipi sa World Health Organization na 32% sa mga sanhi ng pagkamatay ng tao ay cardiovascular diseases. Kaya bilang tugon sa health concern na ito ay tinaasana ng state insurer ang coverage ng mga packages para sa open heart surgeries katulad ng coronary artery bypass graft, closure of ventricular septal defect at iba pa. Higit pa rito ay sinabi ng PhilHealth na ang mga pasyenteng may rheumatic fever o kaya ay rheumatic heart diseases na sumailalim sa mga treatments na ito ay maaari mag-enroll sa outpatient benefit package for secondary prevention. Inabisuhan naman ng Department of Public Works and Highways o DPWH ang publiko na sisimula nila ang major rehabilitation and upgrade ng EDSA sa katapusan ng buwang ito. Ayon sa ehensya, inihahanda na nila ang rehabilitasyon ng bawat segment kung saan isang lane ang aayusin sa isang pagkakataon. Anila magsisimula ang kanilang proyekto mula sa EDSA bus lane. Una ring aayusin ang isang segment mula sa northbound portion mula Quezon City, Caloocan boundary hanggang Monumento. Bahagi ng proyekto ang pagsasaayos ng mga nasirang pavement sa EDSA sa pamamagitan ng reinforced concrete para patibayin ang naturang kalsada. Kukumpunihin din ng ahensya ang drainage system ng EDSA sa pamamagitan naman ng installation ng high-density polyethylene pipes. At sa kabila po nito, tiniyak naman ng DPWH na mananatiling operational ang EDSA bus carousel at pansamantala muna itong ililipat sa katabing lane. Isang high-level meeting ang naganap sa pagitan ni na Office of Civil Defense Administrator USEC, Ariel Nepomuceno at Hungarian Ambassador to the Philippines, Titaliana Tough. Tinalakay ng dalawang opisyala ang ukol sa disaster response and humanitarian initiatives. Kabilang na ang pangangailangang magkaroon ng epektibong water filtration system sa bansa upang matiyak na may access sa malinis na inuming pantubig ang mga Pilipino. Ayon kay USEC Nepomuceno, isasama ng kanilang ahensya ang advanced filtration technology ng Hungary sa emergency framework ng Pilipinas upang mapalakas ang kahandaan ng bansa at upang mas maprotektahan pa ang kalusugan at kaligtasan ng mga komunidad sa panahon ng krisis. Sa ikatlong pulong ng UN state parties para sa Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons o TPNW, hinimok po ng Pilipinas sa mga estado na ratificahin na ang Nuclear Weapon Ban Treaty. Binibigyan diin ni Philippine Permanent Representative to the United Nations, Antonio Lagdameo, na dapat madaliin ang universalization ng nasabing kasunduan. Ang mga nuclear weapons, ayon kay Lagdameo, ay nagdudulot ng hindi katanggap-tanggap na panganib sa sangkatauhan at maging sa kapaligiran. Ito anya ay isang katotohanang paulit-ulit na pinatutunayan ng siyentipikong pananaliksik at katibayan ng kasaysayan. Mananatili rin niyang committed ang Pilipinas sa TPNW at patuloy itong mananawagan sa ilang estado na lagdaan ang kasunduan. Samantala, pinuri ni Lagdameo ang Indonesia, Sierra Leone at Solomon Islands bilang pinakahuling membro ng TPNW. Ang TPNW ay sumasaklaw sa comprehensive set of prohibitions sa iba't ibang mga gawain kaugnay ng nuclear weapons at kabilang na po rito ang development, testing, production, acquisition and possession ng mga nuclear arms. Matagumpay ang isinagawang resupply mission ng Armed Forces of the Philippines o AFP para sa mga tauhan ng BRP Sierra Madre sa Ayungin Shoal. Ayon kay AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Colonel Cerces Trinidad, may mga namonitor silang Chinese vessels, subalit hindi anya ng himasok ang mga Chinese Coast Guard sa aktibidad ng AFP at Philippine Coast Guard. Ang resupply mission sa Ayungin ay isang tapat-anyang pangako ng AFP sa pagpapanatili ng presensya at kahandaan sa operasyon nito sa West Philippine Sea. Susunod, Serbian Parliament nagkagulo dahil sa smoke grenade. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky desididong ayusin ang relasyon nila ng Amerika. At ano nga ba ang naganap sa unang address to Congress ni US President Donald Trump? Mga detalye po ng mga balitang yan at iba pa sa pagbabalik na Mata ng Agila International.
Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Nagdaos ng protesta sa loob ng Parliament ng Serbia ang mga opposition lawmakers nang maghagis ang mga ito ng mga smoke grenades at ang iba ay gumamit pa ng pepper spray upang tutulan ang korupsyon ng gobyerno at para suportahan ang mga demonstrador. Nag-udyok ang naturang pag-aaklas matapos ipasa ng Serbian Progressive Party ang kanilang agenda na mariing tinututulan ng ibang mga mambabatas kung saan sinugod ng mga ito ang parliamentary speaker at nakipag-amok pa ng gulo sa mga gwardya. Ang kaguluhan sa loob ng parliament ay humantong sa pagka-stroke ng isang mambabatas at ikinasugat ng 3 iba pa. Nagsimula ang mga protesta 4 na buwan na ang nakalilipas ukol sa pagkamatay ng 15 katao nang gumuho ang buong istasyon ng tren sa Novi Sad. Dahil rito, lumawak ang mga demonstrasyon na nagmula sa mga mag-aaral na sinusuportahan naman ng mga guro, magsasaka at iba pang sektor sa Serbia. Sa labas ng parlamento, daan-daang mga nagprotesta rin ang nakatayo ng tahimik bilang paggalang sa mga namatay. Maglulunsad naman ang mga ito ng malaking protesta sa Belgrade. Bagaman may parliamentary immunity ang mga mambabata sa Serbia, maaari nila itong maibasura kung sila ay mapatutunayang kasangkot sa kaguluhan. Samantala, kinundi na naman ni Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić ang mga aksyon ng oposisyon at tinawag itong hooliganism. Idiniin niya na pananagutin nila ang mga responsable sa panggugulo.
Nismo se mi ovde skupili da čuvamo vlast bilo čiju. Nismo se mi ovde skupili da čuvamo nečiju fotelju. Nismo došli ni da govorimo o tome koliko ne žele izbore, referendume ili bilo šta gde se narod pita. Došli smo zato što znamo da nam je Srbija ugrožena. Došli smo i okupili smo se zato što znamo da je spolja napadnuta, a da je pomažu i mnogi iznutra koji bi da manipulišu i našom decom, da ih zloupotrebljavaju u najpokvarenije političke svrhe i osvoje nešto što im narod na izborima nije dao. Ali nije onima s polja koji su sve organizovali protiv Srbije cilj srušiti Vučića, a dovesti nekog drugog. Cilj je srušiti Srbiju. Cilj je srušiti Srbiju zato što oni hoće da Srbija ne bude ekonomski napredna, oni hoće da Srbija bude slaba u regionu, oni hoće da Srbija ne može i ne sme da pomogne Republici Srpskoj, oni hoće Srbiju koja će da kleči i izvinjava se i za zločine koji su nad njenim narodom počinili.
Dalawang araw matapos ang kontrobersyal na sagutan ni US President Donald Trump at Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, nagsalita ang Kyiv leader na kailangan ng kanyang bansa ng isang security guarantee para sa tunay at patas na kapayapaan. Anjo Milano po para sa balitang yan.
Ayon kay Pangulong Volodymyr Zelensky, bukod sa garantiyang pangseguridad, kailangan din ng Ukraine ang nararapat na diplomasya upang agarang wakasan na ang 3 taong giyera nito sa Russia.
Сьогодні ж на ставці були деякі спеціальні питання нашої державної стійкості. Всі можливі сценарії ми пропрацьовуємо. Пропрацьовуємо так, щоб захистити Україну. Базовий сценарій – зберігати позиції та забезпечити умови для правильної дипломатії, для якнайшвидшого завершення цієї війни.
Dumalo si Zelensky sa isang weekend meeting kasama ang European allies ng Ukraine na layong makabuo ng plano ukol sa pagtatapos ng labanan.
Сьогодні ми продовжили нашу роботу з європейськими партнерами щодо спеціальної дипломатичної та безпекової архітектури. Архітектури, яка може наблизити мир. Це те, зокрема, про що ми говорили в Лондоні напередодні. І перед тим з багатьма лідерами світу. Україна, вся Європа, Америка, разом ми можемо забезпечити десятиліття спокою. І треба для цього бути в конструктиві, працювати разом, доповнювати пропозиції одне одного і прискорювати дипломатію для
Noong Lunes, sinabi ni US President Donald Trump na magbibigay ito ng update ukol sa Ukraine minerals deal sa Martes ng gabi. Dagdag nito, kailangang mas maging mapagpasalamat si Zelensky sa tulong ng Washington sa Kyiv. Anjo Milano para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Umaasa pa rin si Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky na susuportahan sila ng Estados Unidos sa pagtatapos na ng giyera sa pagitan nila ng Russia.
Так, ми не робимо ніяких кроків назад. Це наша політика бути послідовними. Незважаючи на те, що сталося раніше, незважаючи на це, ми конструктивні. Якщо ми домовилися, що вона буде підписана, з нашого боку, ми готові підписувати. Я, чесно кажучи, думаю, що і Сполучені Штати будуть готові. Напевно, потрібен час проаналізувати якісь речі. Я думаю, що наші відносини будуть продовжені, тому що це більше, ніж відносини одного чи іншого моменту. Ми повинні бути відкритими. Україна країна не найбільша в світі, хоча всі бачать, як вона бореться за свою незалежність і свободу. Відкриті розмови між партнерами – це важливо і це конструктивно. Щоб знати позицію одне одного. І такі розмови, відкриті розмови, вони повинні бути. Я не вважаю, що це правильно, коли ці розмови абсолютно відкриті. Тому що, відповідно, емоціями або інформацією тощо можуть скористатися, точно скористаються навіть не друзі.
Sinabi ng Ukrainian President na kinakailangang agad ang pagsulong ng kapayapaan kaya sila ay nakikipag-ugnayan sa kanilang European partners. Sa kabilang panig naman ay nanindigan si US President Donald Trump na hindi kapayapaan ang ninanais na makamit ng kanilang teritoryo.
President, I think he very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace. We're not looking for somebody that's going to sign up a strong power and then not make peace because they feel emboldened, and that's what I saw happening. I'm looking for peace. We're not looking to go into a 10-year war and play games. We want peace. And it was just my impression that if we do that, if we sign up, he's looking for something that I'm not looking for. He's looking to go on and fight. We're looking to end the death.
Kasalukuyang nagaganapaan niya ang pag-uusap at ilang mga hakbang para matapos na ang gyera. Git nito na mahalaga na magkaroon ng diplomasya para sa agarang pagtatapos ng digmaan. Una nang inakusahan ni US President Donald Trump si Zelensky na umaayaw sa pag-uusap hinggil sa pagtutuldok ng gyera nila ng Russia.
He's going to have to make peace, but he's dealing with a very weak set of cards. If we sign, he's dealing with a very strong set of cards, and then he doesn't want to make peace. So that's where we are. It's very simple. I'm not looking to get into anything protracted. I want immediate peace. President Putin is going to want to make, and he wants to end it. And you saw what I saw today. This is a man that wants to get us signed up and keep fighting, and we're not doing that. Not for this country.
Matapos pong i-anunsyo ng Estados Unidos na sususpendihin ito ang pagsusupply ng tulong militar sa Kyiv, iniutos naman ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sa Defense Minister ng bansa na alamin ang mga detalye ukol dito. Michelle Verzonilla po para sa balitang yan.
Ayon kay Pangulong Vladimir Zelensky ng Ukraine, inutos niya sa Defense Minister, Intelligence Chief at mga diplomat na makipag-ugnayan sa mga katapat nito sa Estados Unidos upang alamin ano ba talaga ang lagay ng military aid ng Washington para sa Kyiv.
Сьогодні у багатьох одне питання – що буде далі з допомогою від Америки. Я доручив міністру оборони України, керівникам наших розвідок, дипломатам зв'язатись зі своїми відповідниками в Сполучених Штатах Америки і отримати офіційну інформацію. Люди не повинні здогадуватись. Україна і Америка заслуговують на поважний діалог, на чітку позицію одне одного. Тим більше, коли йдеться про захист життів у час повномасштабної війни.
Ayon kay Zelensky, ilang linggo na kasing tumatanggap ng iba't ibang senyales ang Ukraine.
Звісно, ми в Україні не один тиждень отримували різні сигнали, і вже був прецедент зупинки допомоги, була зупинка гуманітарної допомоги, енергетичної. Також була вже і зупинка військової допомоги наприкінці січня, але тоді все вдалося швидко відновити. Ми бачили ризики, тому наші служби, і військові, і спеціальні служби встигли напрацювати алгоритм дій за будь-якого розвитку ситуації.
Ipinahayag rin ni Zelensky na walang sino man ang gugusto sa gerang walang katapusan.
Зараз не 22-й рік, зараз наша стійкість вища, ми маємо засоби захисту, але для нас важливі нормальні партнерські відносини з Америкою для реального закінчення війни. Ніхто з нас не хоче neskінченної війни.
Ayon rin kay Zelensky, ikinalulungkot niya ang nangyaring sagutan nila ni Trump sa Oval Office ng White House noong isang linggo. Ani Zelensky, nais nitong itama ang mga bagay.
Нам відомо, що росіяни не змінили своїх позицій та вимог щодо України. Вони будуть вимагати скорочення нашої армії, будуть хотіти юридичну відмову від наших територій, також суттєвої політичної деформації України з послабленням Української Конституції. І скажу, що насправді, поки ми всі в Україні будемо стояти разом і міцно, поки ми тут, ні в кого це не вийде. Мир буде достойний.
Sa kabila ng tensyon noong Biyernes sa pagitan ng mga leader ng US at Ukraine, handa pa rin si Zelensky na pumasok sa kasunduang mineral sa Estados Unidos. Sa X, sinabi ni Zelensky ang mga katagang, None of us wants an endless war. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. Michelle Verzonila para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected on point.
Ipinahayag ng Ukrainian Prime Minister na handa na ang Kiev na lumagda sa isang minerals deal kasama ang Estados Unidos kung may kalakipaan niyang security guarantee ito para sa Kiev. Narito ang report ni Leo Velasco.
Ayon kay Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, preparado ang Ukraine na pumasok sa isang kasunduan sa Estados Unidos focus sa mga mineral kung ito ay may katiyakang pansiguridad para sa Kiev. Sa kasunduan, nakasaad na magtatatag ang Ukraine at US ng jointly owned at managed na investment fund. Magbibigay ang Ukraine ng 50% ng kita mula sa likas na yaman nito, habang magbibigay naman ng suportang pinansyal ang US para sa pagbangon ng Ukraine. Ayon kay Shmyhal, inaprubahan na ng Ukraine ang kasunduan. Binanggit din nito na ipinahayag kapwa ng US at Ukraine ang kagustuhan ng mga itong lagdaan ng kasunduan. At sa kasalukuyan, nag-aantay na lamang ang Kiev sa feedback mula sa antas diplomatiko ng Washington. Binigyang diin ni Shmyhal ng Ukraine ay isang malayang bansa na may borders na kinikilala ng mundo. Anya, handa man ang Ukraine na lumagda sa minerals deal, hindi nito ikokompromiso ang mga isyong teritorial. Dagdag pa ni Shmyhal, handa ang Ukraine na galugarin ng isang plano upang makamit ang kapayapaan kung matitiyak ng Kiev ang security guarantees na hanap nito. Gayon din ang matagumpay na makasali sa European Union at NATO. Ayon sa Prime Minister, noong Lunes, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang supply ng sandatang militar mula sa US. Leo Velasco para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Inakusahan ng France ang Estados Unidos ng pag-aabandona sa Ukraine dahil sa pasya nitong suspindihin na ang pagbibigay ng tulong militar sa Kiev. Marjorie Quintos po para sa balita niyan.
Ayon kay French Prime Minister François Bayrou, ang pagtigil ng tulong sa isang bansang inatake sa gyera ay katumbas ng pag-aabandona rito at pagpayag na manalo ang kalaban.
La suspension dans la guerre de l'aide à un pays agressé, ça signifie qu'on abandonne le pays agressé et qu'on accepte ou qu'on souhaite que son agresseur l'emporte. Ceci est évidemment pour la France et pour nous tous et pour les Européens et pour tous ceux qui sont attachés aux libertés et aux droits, pour ceux qui sont attachés à la Charte des Nations Unies par exemple. C'est évidemment absolument insupportable.
Dagdag ni Bayrou, kailangan agad na palitan ng Europe ang pagpapadala ng sandata ng US.
Notre responsabilité d'Union européenne, notre responsabilité de pays amis de l'Ukraine, c'est d'être capable de se substituer le plus rapidement et le plus efficacement possible aux livraisons américaines de manière que l'Ukraine ne soit pas contrainte de craquer. Pour nous, c'est un devoir de civilisation que nous avons à remplir.
Noong isang linggo, nagkasundo ang mga leader ng Europe na dagdagan ang paggugol para sa depensa upang ipakita kay Trump na kaya ng kontinente na protektahan ang sarili nito. Marjorie Quintos para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Nagkasundo na ang mga Arab leaders ukol sa Egyptian reconstruction plan para sa Gaza.
في ضوء اعتماد وزراء الخارجية بالأمس مشروع خطة إعادة الإعمار والتنمية لغزة واعتماد مشروع البيان الختامي، أدعوكم الآن لاعتماد خطة إعادة إعمار وتنمية غزة وكذا مشروع البيان الختامي. تم الاعتماد
Naganap ito sa pinakabagong Arab Summit na isinagawa noong nakaraang araw. Inilunsad dito ng Emir ng Qatar at dinaluhan naman ang iba't ibang pinuno ng Estado ng Middle East at ni UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Kabilang sa plano ng Egypt ang isang initial recovery phase na magbibigay ng pansamantalang pabahay para sa mga Palestino at demining ng kanilang teritoryo. Matapos nito ay pagtutuunan ng pansin ng Arab League ang pagpapatayo ng importanteng infrastruktura sa naturang teritoryo teritoryo. Inendorso naman ni Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas ang plano at hinikayat nito si US President Donald Trump na i-endorso ang plano na hindi magpapalaya sa kapwa nilang Palestino.
فإننا نشيد بالخطة المصرية الفلسطينية العربية لإعادة إعمار قطاع غزة بوجود الفلسطينيين على أرض وطنهم دون تهجير، وندعو الرئيس دونالد ترامب إلى دعم جهود الإعمار على هذا الأساس وليس على أي أساس آخر. ونود التأكيد بأننا على أتم الجاهزية لإجراء انتخابات عامة رئاسية وتشريعية خلال العام المقبل حال توفرت الظروف الملائمة لذلك في غزة والضفة والقدس الشرقية.
Binatikos naman ito ng Israel kung saan sinabi nilang nabigong talakayin ng naturang plano ang para sa isinagawang terror attack ng Hamas. Isa naman sa tinalakay sa naturang pagpupulong ay kung sino ang pansamantalang mamamahala sa Gaza habang ito ay nagsasagawa ng statewide rehabilitation at nangangalap ng pondo upang simulan ang rebuilding effort.
فيما يتعلق بالحوكمة كما استمعتم وقرأتم في البيان الختامي واستمعتم إلى خطاب الرئيس أبو مازن تم الاتفاق على أسماء اللجنة المؤقتة التي ستدير قطاع غزة لمدة 6 أشهر ويتم بالتزامن مع ذلك العمل على تمكين السلطة الفلسطينية حتى تستطيع أن تتولى مهامها ومسؤولياتها في قطاع غزة. هذه اللجنة غير فصائلية لا تنتمي إلى أي فصيل. قمة أصبحت بالفعل.
Tiniligsan ng Mexico ang pagpapatupad ng 25% taripa ng Estados Unidos. Ayon po sa Mexico, ito ay walang katarungan. Rosel Feria po para sa detalye ng balita.
Noong Martes, sinabi ni Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum na walang katarungan ang 25% taripa ni US President Donald Trump sa mga produktong inaangkat mula sa Mexico. Nagbanta si Sheinbaum ng karampatang aksyon bilang
Por la noche del 3 de marzo, ayer en la noche, la Casa Blanca publicó un comunicado ofensivo, difamatorio y sin sustento sobre el gobierno de México que negamos rotundamente y condenamos categóricamente. Por ello, hemos decidido responder con medidas arancelarias y no arancelarias que anunciaré en plaza pública el próximo domingo. No es de ninguna manera o el propósito iniciar una confrontación económica o comercial que desafortunada y lamentablemente es lo opuesto a lo que deberíamos de estar haciendo, es decir, integrar más nuestras economías para fortalecer nuestra región.
Opisyal na nagsimula ang aksyong taripa ni Trump alas 12:01 ng umaga sa Washington. Ito ay makalipas ang 30 araw na paghinto at sa loob ng isang buwang pagtigil, sumali sa mga pag-uusap ang mga opisyal ng Mexico. Gayon din, pinatindi ng bansa ang paghihigpit sa border nito sa US. Subalit noong Lunes, idineklara ni Trump na nabigo ang Mexico, Canada at China na supilin ang daloy ng nakamamatay na fentanyl opioid at mga kemikal na ginagamit dito papasok sa US. Ani Sheinbaum, nakipagtulungan ang Mexico sa US ukol sa migration, security at anti-drug trafficking.
Y de que en este periodo de tiempo, en estos 30 días, se desarrollaron acciones contundentes contra la delincuencia organizada y el tráfico de fentanilo, así como reuniones bilaterales de seguridad y comercio que llegaron a acuerdos sustantivos de cooperación entre ambos países. Nadie gana con esta decisión, por el contrario, afecta a los pueblos que representamos.
Dagdag ni Sheinbaum, ibibigay niya ang mga detalye ukol sa tugon ng Mexico sa taripa ng US sa darating na linggo sa Zocalo Square sa kabisera ng bansa. Kabilang anya dito ang ganting taripa ng Mexico sa US. Noong Martes ng umaga, humina ang halaga ng Mexican peso ng 1% laban sa US dollar. Rosel Feria para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Binantaan ni US President Donald Trump ang Canada sakaling gumanti sila sa ipinataw nilang taripa sa mga produkto nito.
On the tariffs, is there any room left for Canada and Mexico to make a deal before midnight? And should we expect those Chinese tariffs, the extra 10%, to take effect
No room
tomorrow?
left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
Nitong Martes kasi ay naging epektibo na ang 25% na taripa sa mga produktong Canada at Mexico na dinadala sa Estados Unidos habang mayroong 20% mula sa dating 10% ang ipinataw sa mga produkto naman mula China. Inalmahan ito ng mga lider ng nasabing mga bansa kung saan sinabi ni Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau na kanilang papatawan din ng 25% na taripa ang nasa 155 billion Canadian dollars na halaga ng mga produkto ng Estados Unidos.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada, their closest partner and ally, their closest friend. Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time.
Giit pa ni Trudeau, sinimulan na ng US ang trade war kaya sila'y gumaganti lamang. Binuweltahan pa nito ang akusasyon ni Trump ukol sa pagdagsa ng fentanyl sa kanilang bansa. Dagdag pa ni Trudeau na nilalayon lamang ni Trump na pahinain ang ekonomiya ng Canada para mapaanib nito ang bansa para maging 51st state ng Estados Unidos.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. It's an example of not really being able to see what it is that he wants, because even the excuse that he's giving for these tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified, completely false. So we actually have to fold back on the one thing he has said repeatedly, that what he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy. Because that'll make it easier to annex us, is the second half of his thought. Now, first of all, that's never going to happen.
Sa pahayag naman ni Trump, ang reciprocal tariff na pagtatapat sa anumang ipinatupad ng ibang bansa ay magiging epektibo sa darating na April 2.
Tariffs, as you know, will start a week earlier than the reciprocal, which is going to be on a couple of weeks earlier. Reciprocal tariffs start on April 2nd. And I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to go April Fool's Day, because that costs a lot of money, but that one day, so we're going April 2nd. But very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start. So they're going to have a tariff. So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs.
Ayon naman kay Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, inaanunsyo niya sa susunod na araw ang tugon ng Mexico ukol sa pagsisimula ni Trump ng trade war. Giit nito na bagaman hindi nito intensyon na kalabanin ng Amerika, ay kinakailangan niyang gawin ito para ipaglaban ang interes ng mga Mexicano.
Por ello, hemos decidido responder con medidas arancelarias y no arancelarias que anunciaré en plaza pública el próximo domingo. No es de ninguna manera o el propósito iniciar una confrontación económica o comercial que desafortunada y lamentablemente es lo opuesto a lo que deberíamos de estar haciendo, es decir, integrar más nuestras economías para fortalecer nuestra región.
Ayon naman kay Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian, handang labanan ng China ang ginagawang pambubuli ng Estados Unidos kung magpapatuloy pa rin ang ganitong pamamalakad ni Donald Trump.
美方如果真想解决芬太尼问题，就应该在平等、尊重、互惠的基础上，同中方磋商，解决各自关切。美方如果别有所图，执意打关税战、贸易战或者别的什么战，中方将奉陪到底。我们奉劝美方收起霸凌的嘴脸，趁早回到对话合作的正确轨道上来。
Samantala sa gitna ng mga protesta laban sa pagsibak sa federal workforce, trade wars at pagbawi ng tulong militar sa Ukraine ng Estados Unidos, humarap sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon si Pangulong Donald Trump sa Joint Congress ng bansa. Alamin po natin mula kay NET25 correspondent Thomas I. Likeness kung ano-ano ang laman ng talumpati ng kontrobersyal na leader ng US.
Near the end of his 100-minute speech, the longest ever address to Congress by a president, Trump read the letter from Zelensky.
The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence.
Trump says Zelensky is also committed to signing an agreement giving the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. The president also told Congress he's making good on an earlier commitment to reclaim the Panama Canal.
To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
He says 2 American companies are in the process of buying 2 ports. Trump says the canal was built by America for Americans, adding that the U.S. will allow others to use it. On another international matter, Trump still has designs on Greenland becoming part of America. But he's backed off in his aggressive stance, saying the future of Greenland will be left up to its citizens.
We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security.
He adds that he believes that Greenland will eventually opt to become part of the U.S. Congress also heard about Trump's desire to beef up the military. He says he will be asking Congress to fund that.
As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA.
As part of his defense initiative, Trump says he wants to resurrect the shipbuilding industry in the U.S.
So many ships, we don't make them anymore very much, but we're going to make them very fast, very soon. It will have a huge impact.
Trump spent little time talking about tariffs and trade. He repeated the refrain that other countries treat the U.S. unfairly. Trump says tariffs will make America rich again. He says farmers will benefit from these measures, but he says there may be a bit of difficulty in the beginning for them. Trump claims imported agriculture products are dirty and not inspected. The president admits tariffs will cause some hardship, but downplays it, saying people will have to bear with him. Other Trump promises included tax cuts and no tax on tips, overtime, or Social Security benefits for seniors. He also says interest payments on car loans will be tax deductible, but only for cars made in America. Trump is also offering a quick route to citizenship for the rich with a $5 million gold card, and he says those will go on sale soon. While the Republicans cheered the president while he spoke, the Democrats were less than impressed. A number of Democratic representatives walked out of the speech in protest. As it got underway, security removed Democratic Congressman Al Green from the chamber for disrupting Trump while he was speaking. Thomas I. Likeness for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, mga trabahador sa India iniligtas mula sa isang avalanche.
International stock market bumagsak dahil sa tariff war.
At LeBron James naging unang NBA player na nakakuha ng 50,000 career points. Mga detalye po ng mga balitang yan at iba pa sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
This Sunday on Cine Throwback.
We got a low pressure read on the pipeline. We are a 4-man saturation dive team.
You know there's a storm in the way.
We came here to do a job.
Get sorted out.
What was that? Get on the radio! Belt to surface! Belt to surface! Stopping at speed! All stop on the belt! Brace yourselves, please!
Are you okay? Mitch, talk to me! We're losing oxygen. Talk to me! I know you're scared, but you can do it! You can do it! Come on!
This Sunday, 12 noon, here on NET25.
Let's net together. So NET25.
Can you feel it? Do you like it? Do you want it?
So good. I love it.
Okay, then buckle up, put the pedal to the metal, and let's ride. Rev.
Matapos ang halos 36 na oras na pagkakabaon sa ilalim ng snow bunsod po ng avalanche, ay ligtas na nahukan ng rescuers ang 46 na construction workers sa India. Kinumpirma ng Indian Army na naging matagumpay ang isinagawang rescue operation sa isang construction site sa Mana, Uttarakhand sa Himalayan region. Anila nakaligtas sa mga construction workers mula sa avalanche dahil nakapasok sila sa loob ng malaking metal containers. Paliwanag pa ng mga otoridad, may nakalaan na 8 containers sa site para magamit bilang shelter sa oras na emergencies. Subalit sa kabila ng safety measures, may 8 workers ang namatay dahil sa nasabing trahedya. Karaniwan na ang mga avalanche at landslides sa Himalayas lalo na tuwing winter season. Batay po sa 2023 report ng International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, mas bumilis ng 65% ang pagkatunaw ng mga glaciers sa Himalayas noong taong 2010 kumpara sa mga naunang dekada. Ang nagiging erosion sa mga glacial slopes ay isa sa mga dahilan ng pagtaas ng posibilidad ng pagkakaroon ng baha, pagguho ng lupa at avalanche sa Himalayan region.
Isang babae sa Gran Canaria sa Espanya ang nakaligtas mula sa trahedya matapos anurin ng rumaragas ang tubig baha ang kanyang sasakyan. Mula sa video na nakalap ay makikita ang maraming sasakyang tinatangay ng malakas na agos ng tubig baha. Matapos ang ilang sandali ay mapapansin na sumulpot ang kulay pula na kotse na inaanod patungo sa isang tulay. Natrap sa loob ng kotse si Joanna. Agad namang sumaklolo si Ramon Vera, isang residente, para iligtas si Joanna. Parehong walang tinamong pinsala sa katawan sina Joanna at Ramon. Isinasa ilalim ng Spanish Meteorological Agency sa yellow alert ang buong Canary Islands dahil sa bagyo. Upang manatiling ligtas, inabisuhan na ng Telde City Hall ang mga residente nito na manatili muna sa loob ng kanilang mga tahanan habang hindi pa humuhupa ang baha sa kanilang lugar.
Pinag-iingat naman ngayon ng mga otoridad sa New Mexico State ang mga motorista dahil sa zero visibility na kalagayan ng mga kalsada doon dahil sa tumamang dust storm sa nasabing estado. Batay sa lokal na ulat, patuloy ang pagresponde ng mga emergency crews sa ilang road accidents para sumaklolo at umalalay sa mga apektadong motorista. Ayon sa U.S. National Weather Service, nagsimula na ang pag-ihip ng mga malalakas na hangin sa rehiyon ngayong buwan. Anila, nasa pagitan ng 45 miles per hour at 77 miles per hour ang kanilang naitalang lakas ng hangin na tumatama sa estado sa nakalipas sa 24 oras. Samantala, pinaniniwala ang nagmula ang mga tinangay na buhangin sa White Sands National Park. Dahil dito ay nagpatupad ng road closure ang New Mexico Department of Transportation District 1 para sa kaligtasan ng publiko. Pinayuhan din ng ahensya ang mga apektadong residente ng dust storm na iwasan muna ang pag-aalis sa kanilang mga tirahan at hintayin na humupa muna ang sama ng panahon bago maglakbay.
Samantala, isang buhawi naman ang tumama sa Oklahoma. Sa sobrang lakas ito ay natangay nito ang bubong ng isang gusali. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, tumama rin ang buhawi sa isang veterinary clinic at sa mga katabi nitong bahay. Kinumpirma naman ng National Weather Service na umabot ang peak wind ng buhawi sa 100 hanggang 105 miles per hour. At nanalasa ito sa ilang lugar ng Oklahoma City sa loob ng halos 4 na minuto. Bumagsak ang mga pangunahing stock sa Estados Unidos at sa Europa. Ayon sa ilang analysts, nangangamba ang mga investors sa economic impact ng mga bagong tariff policies ni US President Donald Trump laban sa Canada, Mexico at China. Bumaba ng 670.25 points ang Dow Jones Industrial Average habang ang S&P ay bumagsak din sa 1.22%. Ang Nasdaq Composite naman ay may mababang tala na 0.35%. Ang lahat ng mga pangunahing European Index ay nagsara sa negative territory. Bumagsak ang FTSE ng Britain sa 1.27%. Bumulusok din ang DAX ng Germany sa 3.54% habang CAC ng France ay nakapagtala lamang ng 1.85%. Sa gitna ng karera sa quantum computing ay nagkaroon ng China ng isang mahalagang breakthrough matapos nilang ilunsad ang panibago nilang superconducting quantum computer prototype, ang Zhuchong G3.0. Ayon sa mga Chinese scientists, may kapasidad ang Zhuchong G quantum computer na magproseso ng 105 qubits. Anila, mas mabilis ng higit sa 1 quadrillion times ang processing speed ng mga sampling tasks sa Zhuchong G kumpara sa performance ng world's most powerful computer. Ang quantum computational advantages o quantum supremacy ay tumutukoy sa palakasan ng performance ng mga quantum computers sa pagproseso ng isang specific task. Sa kasalukuyan ng China at Estados Unidos pa lamang ang dalawang global frontrunners para sa quantum computing research. Bago ang Zhuchong G3.0 ay inilunsad muna ng China ang Zhujiang at Zhuchong G2.1 prototypes bilang stepping stone sa kanilang proyekto.
Lakers player na si LeBron James bilang kauna-unahang manlalaro na nakapagkamit ng bagong record at nakapagtala ng 50,000 combined regular and postseason points sa larangan ng NBA. Nagtamo ito ng isang go-ahead three-pointer sa unang quarter na laro ng Los Angeles Lakers laban sa New Orleans Pelicans at tuluyang naunahan ang dating record holder na si Kareem Abdul-Jabbar na may 38,387 career points. Sa kabila naman na magkasunod timeout, nagkaroon ng isang maikling seremonya at video na nagpapakita ng suporta at pagkilala sa mga nakamit na nasabing player. Kinikilala po si LeBron James bilang isa sa oldest active players kasabay ng patuloy nitong pagpapakita ng kahusayan sa larangan ng basketball. Isang kilalang fashion designer ang nagpakita ng lineup ito para sa Fall-Winter 2025 Catwalk Show. Sinimulan na ang unang araw ng Paris Fashion Week na nagtampok sa iba't ibang mga damit katulad ng short skirts, cinched coats, and long slit dresses. Inilunsad naman ni Victor Vensanto ang kanyang mga sariling likha noong taong 2020 at nakilala siya sa pagiging malikain sa pamamagitan ng pagpapakita ng kanyang pag-ibig sa sining at idinaan sa iba't ibang presentasyon. Si Vensanto ay nag-aral ng ballet at kalaunan ay naisipan niyang pasukin ang mundo ng fashion upang maging designer sa Paris. Nagtrabaho naman siya sa ilalim ng mga sikat na designer katulad na lamang ni Jean-Paul Gaultier at kumuha siya ng inspirasyon sa mga live entertainment and art in general. Sa isang pahayag, sinabi ni Vensanto na the girl becomes herself an iceberg habang isinasalarawan ang isa sa mga dresses bilang pag-uugnay nito sa panahon ng taglamig. Nakatakda ring ilabas sa mga bigating brands kabilang na ang Chanel, Hermes, Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior at Yves Saint Laurent ang kanilang mga koleksyon hanggang March 11.
Sa ibang pang balita, opisyal nang kinilala ng Guinness World Records ang Turkish Airlines para sa world record na most countries flown to. Iginawad ang certificate sa Santiago International Airport matapos ang inaugural flight ng airline patungong Chile. Ayon sa Guinness World Records, naabot ng Turkish Airlines ang milestone sa pamamagitan ng maraming bilang ng flight sa 120 countries sa nakalipas na taon. Kasama rito ang temporary suspended routes at ang inaugural flight ng airline patungo sa Chile. Dahil rito ay naging 131 na ang countries na kanilang napuntahan.
Samantala, lakas loob na sinuong ng libo-libong Czech swimmers ang malamig na temperatura ng tubig para sungkitin ang bagong record para sa largest polar bear dip in history. Ayon po sa lokal na ulat, nais ng mga swimmers sa Czech Republic na talunin ang naunang record na 1,799 swimmers ng Poland sa pamamagitan ng 2,461 participants. Pinaniniwala ang nasa 3.5 degrees Celsius o 38.2 Fahrenheit ang temperatura ng tubig nang sinubukang gawin ang record attempt. Ang polar bear dip event na ito ay bahagi ng tradition ng mga Czechs tuwing winter season. At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi. Ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores. Ito po ang Mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa Mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. U.S. President Donald Trump has addressed a joint session of Congress just 43 days after taking office. Now, Trump spoke for 1 hour and 40 minutes, the longest speech a president has ever given to Congress.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible. Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown. The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation, we must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
And the news starts now. U.S. President Donald Trump has addressed a joint session of Congress just 43 days after taking office. Now, Trump spoke for 1 hour and 40 minutes, the longest speech a president has ever given to Congress. And for a large part of the address, Trump boasted about his administration's cuts to government, crackdown on immigration, and withdrawal from global accords. Near the end of the speech, he announced he had received a letter from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Thomas Likeness for more.
Trump says Zelensky wrote that Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible and that Ukraine is willing to work with Trump to reach a peace deal. Zelensky thanked America for its support for the past 3 years in the war against Russia. Trump says Zelensky is committed to signing an agreement giving the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals.
I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace.
Trump spoke of a couple of other international issues. He reiterated his plans to reclaim the Panama Canal.
To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
Trump says the canal was built by America for Americans, but he says the U.S. will allow others to use it. Greenland is another one of Trump's targets, but he's toned down his remarks about taking over the frozen island in the mid-Atlantic. He says Greenland's future will be left up to its citizens. But he says if they want to become part of the U.S., they will be welcome.
We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before. It's a very small population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security.
He says one way or another, the U.S. will get Greenland. On defense, Trump says he wants to build the most powerful military of the future.
As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA.
He says another part of his plan includes shipbuilding.
To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding.
On the issue of tariffs, Trump was brief. He repeated the refrain that other countries treat the U.S. unfairly. He says tariffs will make America rich again. Trump says farmers will benefit from these measures, but there may be a bit of difficulty in the beginning for them. He claims imported agriculture products are dirty and not inspected. The president admits tariffs will cause some hardship, but he downplays it, saying people will simply just have to bear with him.
And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen. Plants are opening up all over the place. Deals are being made. Never seen. That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow our auto industry to absolutely boom. It's going to boom. Spoke to the majors today, all three, the top people, and they're so excited. In fact, already numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world.
After the speech, Democratic Senator Elissa Slotkin panned Trump's performance since he took office.
America wants change, but there's a responsible way to make change and a reckless way. And we can make that change without forgetting who we are as a country and as a democracy.
Slotkin says Trump's economic strategy is going to hurt Americans in the pocketbook. She says the president is looking for trillions of dollars to pass along to the wealthiest in America.
And to do that, he's going to make you pay in every part of your life. Grocery and home prices are going up, not down, and he hasn't laid out a credible plan to deal with either of those. His tariffs on allies like Canada will raise prices on energy, lumber, and cars, and start a trade war that will hurt manufacturing and farmers. Your premiums and prescriptions will cost more because the math on his proposals doesn't work without going after your health care.
Slotkin says the national debt is continuing to rise, and she warns that if Trump is not careful, he will lead the country into a recession. The speech was reminiscent of Trump's campaign rallies. After every point he made, Republicans in the crowd stood and applauded. Democrats are less than impressed. A few didn't bother attending. Among those that did, several walked out while the president spoke. And when Trump first spoke, security officials escorted a Democratic congressman out of the chamber for interrupting the president.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Thomas I. Likeness, NET25 World News.
President Donald Trump's recent address to Congress has been met with mixed reactions from analysts who argue it failed to bridge the deep political divide and social divides in the country. While the president emphasized themes of strength and unity, his rhetoric largely stuck to partisan priorities, leaving critics questioning whether the speech missed a critical chance to foster bipartisan cooperation. Take a look.
I agree. Most presidents, even when they're elected in very partisan times, like Bill Clinton, for example, they use these addresses to try to win some people over, to win over a few people in the other party, and to win over a few viewers, because that's the only way you get legislation passed. That's the only way you keep the government open when you're so closely divided. But that doesn't seem to be in Donald Trump's way of thinking about politics, which is what made this sound more like a campaign speech than a governing speech.
I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back.
It's very hard to form a narrative about people going on a journey to a promised land when you're not really about a promised land, but instead responding to a series of grievances. When he says a golden age of America, his golden age sounds like it's removing things that different groups are angry about for one reason or another. So that's not a play. That's not a story. That's a set of a list of grievances, and that's.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session.
It's become a more raucous occasion with far less decorum than historically was true of these occasions, which had a certain amount of ceremony and dignity to them. And at the beginning, it looked like it was going entirely off the rails.
Well, I think it reflected our moment, the back and forth, the Democratic Congressman Al Green interrupting the speech, the signs, but also the humor, the condescending and mocking humor that Donald Trump used, calling Senator Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. I mean, all of this it breaks the decorum of these addresses in the past and even the recent past. These were to be addresses where people were to rise above politics for at least one night. And I don't think we have a capacity for that right now. And it's not who he is.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible.
I think the news, if there was any, was his reading the letter from Zelensky and not editorializing in a negative way about it. So that seemed to be a bit of a thaw certainly from what we've seen over the last few days since the disastrous meeting in the Oval Office. So
well, I think he is articulating a different view of national security than we have seen from Republicans in about 100 years. He's going back to an isolationist tradition, a unilateralist tradition. Isolationists were always expansionists, but they believed the United States should do it on its own and should not partner with Europe and other countries like that. And this was more of the same there. I think that's a problem for him because even many Republican voters side with Ukraine. What we're seeing, especially with regard to Ukraine, is this is having a real effect. And the shadow figure who was not mentioned in the speech is, of course, Vladimir Putin. And the concerns many people have, many members of the House and Senate have, of the president's close and, shall we say, very strange relationship with Vladimir Putin, that was not addressed.
If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries.
Traditionally, the Republican Party has been the party that believes that tariffs are bad. They were the party of tariffs until Herbert Hoover, and then they never wanted to be the party of tariffs again. And most business leaders, including those who support Donald Trump, don't like tariffs, and certainly that he really doubled down on the tariffs, which is going to make it harder for him down the line to either reverse himself or to claim he didn't really support tariffs. I mean, he can't blame someone else for that. It was interesting. He said, we can blame Marco Rubio if some things don't work out in the Middle East. He actually said that in the speech. He's taken personal ownership over the tariff issue. And if that produces rising costs, a trade war, supply chain problems, and perhaps a recession, as many Republican economists, as the Wall Street Journal thinks will happen, I don't know how he walks his way out of that black eye. He said almost nothing about China. He talked about China and tariffs, but everyone I talk to in the foreign policy world is very concerned about what's going to happen with regard to Taiwan right now. Here's the question: are the Chinese seeing our actions in Ukraine as meaning that we won't react if they invade Taiwan or not? And there's that is one of the issues, as you know, that actually brings Democrats and Republicans together. It was a potential unifying issue. You might have gotten Democrats to stand if he took a strong position on China. He didn't.
But I know this group is going to be voting for the tactic.
I'm not surprised by the partisanship in the room, but I'm pretty sure it's not what the American people want. I think people go to a campaign event or they watch a campaign event because they want to see red meat. I don't think we have changed so much as a country. I think people do want to see presidential leadership as involving those moments when you can bring people together, when you can reach our higher, better angels, even if it's only for a few minutes. And I don't know if that hurts Trump or the Democrats more, but I think there's a longing for that.
And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Perhaps you've heard of it, perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
It was, I thought, shocking that he itemized programs that he said were examples of ridiculous expenditures, and almost all of them involved African nations, which I thought had a very kind of racial overtone to it.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. but it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
This is the president who's putting forward an America First agenda that actually represents the interests of the American public. You know, he called for cutting taxes, slashing regulations, things that help grow the American economy. He promised to get back to trying to balance the budget, let alone all of the things he talked about securing our borders, reducing crime. But, you know, what I would say at the end of the day is, and he made this point, he's made terror threat after terror threat that has been met by success in terms of the things he's called for. We're talking about countries that have frankly not secured the border, that have allowed drugs to come to the United States, that violate their agreements with us. A lot of these countries allow China to duck tariffs and other regulations and to ship their products through these countries into the United States. Fentanyl, of course, comes along with them. So I think what you've seen is Trump successfully used tariff threats to be able to score these wins for the American public, to get these countries to play ball and keep up with their agreements and their arrangements.
U.S. President Donald Trump reiterated his interest in acquiring Greenland in his address to Congress, painting a picture of prosperity and safety for the people of the island, an autonomous territory of the Kingdom of Denmark. Now, in his speech, Trump said he had a message for the people of Greenland.
And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before. It's a very small population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security.
Trump's interest in Greenland has invigorated that country's independence movement, sparking calls for swift secession discussions with Denmark, its former colonial ruler. But Greenland's ruling Atakatigit party has said it will not rush an independence vote through after a March 11 general election, cautioning about possible economic and welfare implications.
First of all, I would like to draw the attention to the fact that he said we respect the Greenlandics' right to self-determination, and that, I think, was the most important part of that speech. And I am very optimistic about what will be a Greenlandic decision about this. They want to loosen their ties to Denmark. We are working on that to have a more equal relationship. But I have no idea that they want to do that in order to become, you know, an integrated part of America. So emphasizing what he did, the right to self-determination, I think, was the most important part of the speech. I just want to add very shortly that there is an election going on in Greenland. It will be the 11th of March. And I will be reluctant to say much more about this until we know the result of that election. I think it's important that it's free and fair and without any kind of international intervention. So I think I will limit myself to these remarks.
Greenland, part of NATO through the membership of Denmark, has strategic significance for the U.S. military and for its ballistic missile early warning system, since the shortest route from Europe to North America runs via the Arctic island. The U.S. military maintains a permanent presence at the Pitofik Air Base in Greenland's northwest. The United States has expressed interest in expanding its military presence, including placing raiders there to monitor the waters between the island, Iceland, and Britain, which are a gateway for Russian Navy vessels and nuclear submarines.
A lot of think tank workers and trying to kind of present him with an intellectual scaffoldry that can explain what it is that he wants. And some of that has to do with military affairs, military security. There it's very difficult to see what he would gain. Some of it has to do with critical minerals, etc. There, Greenland is open for business. But if it's in terms of it's a very long-term perspective that this should be American for all perpetuity, then it might have a rational explanation. Worst is that this is just a question of making the USA larger on a map and let that go down in history.
The biggest gamble of Donald Trump's second term is now underway. Overnight, the U.S. president's long-threatened tariffs on its largest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, officially took effect, sparking fears of a global trade war. Now, goods from both countries are now subject to a 25% tariff, while existing tariffs on Chinese imports have been doubled to 20%. The move has rattled global markets, with stocks tumbling amid concerns over escalating tensions. Canada wasted no time in responding. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced retaliatory tariffs and delivered a strong message.
We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. As of this morning, markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
President Trump defended the tariffs on his Truth Social platform, warning Canada that any retaliatory measures would be met with reciprocal increases.
25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start. So they're going to have a tariff. So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs.
Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum also condemned the move, but stressed the need to avoid further escalation.
Por ello, hemos decidido responder.
Therefore, we have decided to respond with tariff and non-tariff measures that I will announce in a public square next Sunday. It is by no means our purpose to start an economic or trade confrontation, which unfortunately and regrettably is the opposite of what we should be doing. That is, integrating our economies more to strengthen our region.
China, also in the crosshairs of U.S. tariffs, has imposed its own levies on American agricultural products like pork, soybeans, and poultry.
The Chinese people will never yield to bullying or intimidation or be deterred by hegemony. Pressure, coercion, and threats are not the right way to deal with China. Putting extreme pressure on China is aiming at the wrong target and making the wrong calculation.
With Canada, Mexico, and China being America's largest trading partners, these retaliatory measures are expected to increase costs for U.S. consumers and ramp up inflation.
My concerns about the interest rate scenario are largely tariff related. I think the tariff scenario is definitively an inflationary aspect to what can happen within the economy and the market. But broadly speaking, I don't think we've really gotten to the point where the Fed has completed their task, and they'll admit that themselves. So to the point where we need to see continued decline in the inflation picture. We need more things to happen for the economy to feel robust enough to be able to weather any storms. Right now, what I'm seeing and hearing is a little bit of a stagflation concern.
The Atlanta Fed, using their GDP Now forecast, has updated their forecast for Q1 GDP growth to a contraction of 2.8%. Just 1 week ago, they were forecasting a contraction of 1.3%. So clearly this is growing in the wrong direction. We also have to remember that these tariffs that were put in place were just put in place today, and there's only roughly 3.5 weeks of the first quarter remaining. So clearly there's been some damage to the economy that's been done even prior to the tariffs in place. What concerns me is the impact of those tariffs potentially, if they stay in place and the reciprocal tariffs stay in place throughout the course of the second quarter, and we have a second consecutive quarter of negative real GDP growth. What does that translate into? Well, that's the academic definition of a recession. 2 consecutive quarters of negative real GDP growth. That's not in the forecast right now, but it's certainly something I'm paying attention to.
Despite warnings from economists and businesses about the risks of these policies, President Trump remains firm and is even threatening new tariffs on European goods next.
If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. On average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. This system is not fair to the United States and never was, and so on April 2nd, I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. That's not, just one day cost us a lot of money. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in, and whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
This Sunday on Cine Throwback.
Nothing is quite as simple as it seems. To understand the world better, we need to take a closer look. Experience knowledge. Tomorrow Today.
A powerful storm is bearing down on Australia's eastern seaboard, and residents are bracing for impact. Take a look. A powerful storm is bearing down on the country's eastern seaboard, and residents are bracing for impact. Tropical cyclone Alfred is expected to make landfall early Friday morning, posing a significant threat to major cities like Brisbane and the Gold Coast. This cyclone is unusual because it's the most southerly to threaten the region in over 50 years.
Take this seriously. This is a rare event. The governments across the board are taking this seriously, and Queenslanders, as well as those on the north coast of New South Wales, need to do so as well.
We are facing the potential that a cyclone could in fact cross the coast on high tide in the middle of the night. And we're asking Queenslanders to prepare for that. And we are here today to tell you that we are preparing for that right across all levels of government and agencies to support this state in a difficult period of time. I know this is, in many cases, for many Queenslanders, the first time they have experienced this. But I want to assure you that you will get through this if you stay connected, if you do the right things, and if you put in place those preparations now. We've repeatedly been speaking about getting ready over the last few days. We're now into the phase where it's hours rather than days, but you've still got time. You've got time to plan an evacuation route if you're in one of those zones. You've got time to clean up your home and make sure you've got the essentials if you're not in those areas.
LeBron James reached another milestone in his unprecedented NBA career, becoming the first player to score 50,000 total points after hitting a three-pointer in the first quarter of the Lakers' home game against the Pelicans. James, 40, already has the most regular season points after breaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record in February 2023, a mark that had stood for 39 years. The Akron, Ohio native also holds the all-time playoff scoring record, a title he took from Michael Jordan in May of 2017. Now, James has shown no sign of slowing down in his 22nd season in the league. He was named Western Conference Player of the Month for February, extending his league record to 41 monthly awards, including 3 with the Lakers. He is also the oldest player to win the award, passing the previous record set by Karl Malone, who's now age 37, with the Utah Jazz in November of 2000. 4-time NBA champion James and the Lakers have been on a tear since acquiring Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks in a stunning trade for Anthony Davis last month. They entered Tuesday's contest on a 6-game winning streak and have shot up to second place in the Western Conference. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you for joining us. Good night.